welcome back to the world of Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim. This time we are going to be doing a review for season two of the show on Netflix, coming April the 19th. If we have not watched the first season of Pacific Rim, we're coming back after the events, like I said, of that first season. We start off with Haley and Taylor's mom and dad, being Jaeger pilots, leaving them on a kind of off deserted spot in the desert of Australia, kind of a camp, and they just kind of never come back in that first season. And 5 years later, Taylor and Haley are kind of holding down the fort, protecting this village. I gotta say, like, Haley's got to be the most annoying character in cartoon history, just animation history, man. Because I just gotta leave, I gotta go. That whole attitude, and it winds up getting everybody killed in the first season. And now she has this guilt that she just can't shake. Which of course, if you watch the Pacific Rim movies, for them to do a neural link, their minds have to be clear, have to be in sync, for them to be able to do the drift. But yeah, the whole first season pretty much, like, consists of 7 episodes. This season is 7 episodes too. But that season leads off with you finding out that the boy that they find and rescue from one of the labs is actually a hybrid human kaiju, which this series has definitely gone beyond kind of what the movies were, like just kind of like a mystical, magical, kind of to a certain extent, because they also introduced the characters of the witches, who I guess they kind of worship these kaiju, and they are able to control them, which they show a lot more in the second season. Like, I don't want to give too much away for that one, but like I said, the first season ends on them picking up with the boy transforming into a kaiju, and of course, your girl Haley trying to save him, because she's trying to make up for the family that she lost, when they were in the village that she didn't care about because she wanted to leave so bad. Like I said, these two characters are just extremely annoying, and once we actually get to some mech fights in the show, which are actually pretty good, I think the animation is definitely pretty good here. Even though you see a lot of this particular style of, like, not cell shading, but like this 3D animation that Netflix has a lot for their shows. They do for a lot for their shows. Of course, like Ghost in the Shell, and of course this, and I want to see the Witcher show. They use like a lot of these 3D animation things, but it's pretty good. Like I said, it definitely works for this particular style of show. Second season, like I said, pretty much picks right back off where we left off, and we see a little bit more of what the witches are, which we hear about early on in the season, and what they can do and what they want. And of course, Shane, still on the hunt for May, and after the first season, after she betrayed him and took the Jaeger that he claimed that was his. So he's pissed, and of course, we're still trying to get more background into May, and what Shane did to her family. For whatever reason, she seems to think that she needs to protect him. I thought that would have ended right there in the first season, because so many people die in the first season that you think is going to kind of stick along and be a character later on in the show. Nah, they're pretty much gone. But like I said, we definitely, like I said, they definitely show him. I think it's pretty cool because it's a manga series called Kaiju #8, where they show a guy kind of transforms into a kaiju. So I thought it was pretty similar to, maybe they got that from there, or maybe they already had the idea, but I thought that was pretty cool, because that kind of would only seem like the only anti-defense against this point is to kind of attack on Titan this situation, which just kind of feels like, to a certain extent, like now, like, the kaiju are actually human, or they're the hybrid human kaiju. Like, we also get a character introduced in the kaiju man they introduced in the show, where he is pretty much thinks he has a reign in on these kaiju. He has some type of emotional connection with them, and again, no spoilers, but he's sadly mistaken. And again, this is one of those situations where the boy, the human kaiju boy, something happens to him. Like I said, without going to the spoilers, something happens to him, and they need to save him. And then they get wound up in the witch's territory. And like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but it definitely gets good. I definitely want to say, like, the second season, I think the pacing is way better as far as like the action and stuff goes, because I think the first one they were really trying to give you a lot of the backstory on some of the characters, and like kind of Hayley and Taylor's dad and mom and dad, and like kind of what happened to them during the 5 years left. And we still don't know if they're alive or dead after that first season, after they get the whole distress call, or not the distress call, but the message they left to the kids after the first season. But like I said, second season, same same solid animation. I just really just do not like these two characters. I really wish it was anybody else that was piloting this mech. I really like the designs of the kaiju. They're solid. They only show like 3 so far. But like I said, I really like the designs of the kaiju. They look really good. And think about the Godzilla movies. This is also, because they use that same animation style for the Godzilla movies. That's why you think it's also on Netflix. Do you think that these monsters kind of look similar too? Because I swear they use the same creatures for the kaiju in the show. But like I said, they look solid. The additional characters that they do show when they show them, that's not Hayley, Taylor, May, or Shane, if they stay alive long enough or don't get crushed by a kaiju. It does kind of feel like it's still kind of small. Like, a lot of people aren't left. I mean, they really just don't show a lot of people, because of course, like, when the first initially starts off, all these huge settlements, all these big cities are big attractions to kaiju, and they're easily like wiped out. So now everybody's kind of trying to spread out and live a little bit of quieter. And they realize, like, okay, that's just not the thing you want to do. You don't want to live in a big city. You don't want to attract any noise to kaiju. They kind of try to live off the grid. And for the most part, it just seems like this whole Jaeger program has just been like a complete waste of time. And at least in this Universal Pacific Rim, because it's like, they're making these robots, put this time into it, and the way they got to go about it, just for these kaiju to just keep coming back and wrecking shop and taking them out. So I'm hoping that, like I said, and of course this doesn't connect to that movie at all. Like, if you coming into this thinking that you're gonna get like a part 2 of that movie or continuation, no, this is a completely different set of characters. This is almost like a completely different universe to a certain extent. Don't go looking for Idris Elba. He's not gonna be in this. But like I said, I mean, this is completely, I don't want to say one-off, but like I said, just has nothing to do with those movies at all, other than like name and like, obviously like the creatures, the kaiju, stuff like that. Like I said, I mean, solid second season. Definitely a good continuation of the first. I'm hoping to see where this goes, how this ends, hoping to get a little bit more information just into the world, because right now, I mean, it's just been hyper focused in on these two characters and like the small circle of things that's going on around them. Like I said, I'm hoping to get more insight into like what the kaiju are, and of course like this whole human hybrid kaiju program that they have in defense to take them down. Like I said, I mean, pretty solid show, good watch. 7 episodes, not bad. It doesn't take up too much of your time. The voice acting is pretty solid too, and I think that's one of the things that gets me. I really like just the kids' voices. Like, they're not terrible, but like they just annoy me, man. Just I guess that teen angst, like just them just going back and forth, and just the emotion of like just dealing, especially with like the whole drift program, the whole drift thing, where they have to have their emotions in check to be able to like use these mechs, these the mechs, like I can't think of it, but the Jaegers. And like I said, every other episode it's just like a breakdown between Hayley and Taylor before we get to a fight, even though all this crazy stuff is going around. But like I said, other than that, solid season. Another 7 episodes. I mean, you definitely can't be mad about that. Netflix did a good job, doing the getting the voice acting and everything for this. And I watched the Japanese version as well. It's pretty good. Although there is no Japanese version for this, I'm thinking about the show. But like I said, pretty good. I would definitely recommend this show. If you haven't watched, like I said, easy watch. Netflix, April 19th. Check it out. Season 2, Pacific Rim: The Black. And I'll see you guys later.
about.